I am live. I was so excited about my first live stream. And if you've seen it already, Queen's Court, why I think the model of Queen's Court will not work. Hello, good evening. It is midnight on Wednesday morning, and this is the chatty chairwoman. I'm in the boardroom because I am determined to get this right. What do they say? If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Now, if the sound was actually working on the video that you see posted that has the same title, then you would have known that the paralysis of analysis kept me away from coming on YouTube. I'm sure you've all been there, right? How will it look? How will it sound? What should I wear? Should I have lashes? Should I have on a shirt? Should I have on a cutoff shirt? Should I have on a long sleeve shirt? All of those thoughts come into your head and you never make a move. So earlier this week, I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it without the camera. The chairwoman is going into the boardroom. I love talking to people and talking about reality TV or current events, but the analysis and the evaluation about all of the stuff that doesn't matter seems to hinder my progress. So I said, I'm doing it anyway. So I did a live earlier this week, a whole 30 minutes of practice. Oh my goodness. And you know what? When I was finished, I enjoyed it. I say, you know what? This is what I want to do because, my background is public relations. That's my business for the last 20 years. This is what I want to do. But when you're in the business, you analyze things so much more. You overthink it so much more. And when I was done, I was so happy, but when I went to check it, what did I learn? I didn't have sound. So I'm doing this live right now with my fingers crossed and the hopes of having sound until I can get my daughter to be my moderator and cooperate with me, right? So we know how that goes. Anyway, so this is my thing of trying to get this box checked before the end of 2024, right? Where did this year go? I don't know if you feel the same, but I think this has been the fastest year of my life. And I think it's been the least productive. I'm going to admit it. I think I've done all of the things I was doing last year when I promised myself, when I did my vision board, that I was going to do so much more, but it didn't happen. I just don't know where 2024 has gone. And in the last quarter of this year, I said I was going to get this YouTube channel up and going because I love to talk. I'm the chairwoman. So, welcome to the boardroom, board members. I know that was a long introduction, and I know you don't want to hear all that, but I had to share. Sometimes I might overshare. So, please excuse me. So, when I saw that Queen's Court season 2 was returning, I was excited, and when I learned that I could binge watch it on Peacock, I was even more excited. Because one of the things I learned that I didn't need this year in 2024 was what? Cable. So what did I get? Peacock, which, I might have to watch it a day later, like the Real Housewives of Potomac and all of the other shows, but it's okay with me because it's only like $6.99, the subscription. And I didn't realize, here I go again, off on a tangent, I didn't even need cable. I got YouTube, Peacock, and it's all right. I don't even need cable. Who knew? All those years of having cable and you don't really need it. I may bring it back when the Real Housewives of Atlanta comes back because, I am Teen Twirl. Anyway, not to get off on a tangent. So when I saw Queen's Court season 2 coming back, I sat down and watched it and I enjoyed it. What I like about Queen's Court is they always introduce you to someone. They introduced me to someone I didn't know very well, and I had an opportunity to learn more about them. For example, in Queen's Court season 1, of course, I knew Tamar Braxton, I knew Evelyn Lozado, but I did not know Nivi. I believe she was a girlfriend of Lil Wayne. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't know anything about her. Learned about her, looked her up, and really liked her energy on the show. Really liked her energy. For season 2, of course, I knew of Miss Lisa Ray and I was familiar with Kay Michelle, but I did not know London Delish. I can't think of her last name, but I did not know her, so I had to look her up and become more familiar with her. So they had three women, and I really like the fact that they are, I guess, in different generations. They bring different styles, different industries to the scene. Because I think London is an actress. Well, Lisa Ray is an actress, but Lisa Ray is more of an actress. She's been a long time actress. She's an OG. And then, of course, K. Michelle. So they brought them all on, and you begin to learn about each person, and they begin to go from the 22 eligible bachelors down to 10. So each woman ends up with two people each. Did I say that right? Two, four, six. I think at one time K. Michelle had three, but each woman ends up with a final two people, I mean, men to consider each. So we had K. Michelle, she had Ben, which was a white gentleman who was older than her, I think about 53, three kids, did not want any more children. I think he said his youngest was about to graduate from high school. He did not want any more children. And K. Michelle shared that she wanted to adopt a daughter. She felt like she had been blessed so much that she wanted to adopt a daughter. So for them, that was to me a recognizable deal breaker. But I thought he would have been something different, and he would have been the solid that she needed as someone in the industry. The other guy that she had in her lineup was Nas, and Nas was a businessman, and he was someone that was always off at meetings when there were key moments. I'm trying to share the screen. When there were key moments in the show, he was always off somewhere, you know, negotiating a new deal, which is never a problem, right? He was always off somewhere negotiating a new deal, and didn't seem to have the availability that she wanted, K. Michelle. But he always managed to surprise her. And you will see him, he is standing right here behind Lisa Ray. So he was someone who had one child, and he said he wanted four children. So, in that regard, those key items, he was in line with what K. Michelle wanted, but he also wanted a domestic. He's Nigerian. He likes to know that the woman is playing the traditional role in the home, but he said he would be more flexible because he understand that K. Michelle had her own celebrity. So he made these efforts to kind of demonstrate that he felt she was special. So those were the two people. So one was Ben, who's on the far end with the blue jacket, real solid guy. And he was the one that K. Michelle had very genuine conversations with. It is really disappointing that they didn't have an opportunity to explore more, because I thought he was the solid that she needed in order to live her life as a celebrity. You know what it kind of reminded me of? Of the Todd and Candy Burris on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Todd understands his role and allows Candy to shine in her role as the celebrity in her pursuits of acting and music, etc. I think let me say this, because Todd is kind of in the industry right now. He's taking a back seat for Candy's light to shine, but he supports her and also produces alongside her. I think a better example would be the late Greg Leaks and Nene Leaks, where Greg was okay with Nene being the celebrity. He was solid. He kept her together. He kept her grounded. I think that is what Ben would have offered for K. Michelle. So, and when I talk about will this model ever work, I'm going to get to that, where women have to stop selecting guys that we are attracted to and figure out the guy that will be good for us long term. Because I honestly believe, as women, and this is from hindsight of my life, if a guy is nice to you, kind, respectful, shows that he loves you, you can then in turn be attracted to him. The attraction can build for women. For men, it's the opposite. Men must first be attracted, and then the love will build for the woman. But men must first be attractive, but it's not the same for women. And I think when we lead in that regard, we miss out on really good guys. So I think Ben, who's here in this blue jacket on the right hand side, would have been a better fit for K Michelle if it wasn't for the deal breaker, which was he did not want any more kids. He would have been solid because she could have taken him and shaped him into the style she wanted. He was confident. Clearly, he had a solid financial stability. And I think a lot of on this season were more stable than Queen's Court season one. Queen Court season two, the men were entrepreneurs. Many of them were in technology, engineering, software design. So they really were in very solid professions and businesses. I think they did a better job in terms of selecting the men this time versus season one. So lastly, nextly, I don't know why this screen keeps going down here. I'm trying to keep the image of the final group on the screen so you can see who I'm talking about. So you see Kay Michelle in that beautiful green coat. And of course, Lisa Ray is doing what they call the capsule wardrobe. And we know the capsule wardrobe is where you pick a certain color that you wear every day, or you limit your wardrobe to like 20 pieces and you just continuously rotate that. That is where I've been for the last couple of years. I don't have a lot of, I have one or two neon shirts. Everything else in my closet is black, white, beige, gray, because it keeps everything simple, clean, and classic. And I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to wear. So I've started to adapt the capsule wardrobe process many years ago. I probably would wear all black every day if I could. One, because it's slimming. One, two, because it's classic. Three, because no matter where you go, you look great in it. You wear black to a meeting, to a movie, to a party. You always look great in black. And then you can accessorize it. And it takes the thinking out of it. Especially for women, we always want to make sure we look polished. Black always makes you look polished. So I think eventually I would probably evolve to black all the time, black and white. But Lisa has started with her capsule journey because she said she wanted to take away the complexity of what to wear every day. And we know a lot of very rich people adopted this model many years ago. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Donald Trump. Um, a lot of people have adopted this model. They call it the capsule wardrobe. I didn't even know the name of it. I always knew that I like to wear black, but when I started to research it, I saw it on YouTube and understanding the thought process behind it. And here I am again going off on a tangent. It really makes a lot of sense. If you say, you know what, I'm going to take the pressure out of what to wear, then it'll make starting my day easier. And we see that all the time with schools that require uniforms. When you take out what to wear for the students, that pressure of every day, how to dress and how to look, and you put everybody in the same gear, that's one less pressure, peer pressure they have to deal with. And I think if we branded it as a capsule wardrobe, as a road to success, a road to cost savings, a road to confidence in terms of being able to wear the same style, color all the time, I think it would go a lot further. So, anyway, so Lisa is wearing her capsule wardrobe. She wore white all the time. She ended up with David, who is here behind K Michelle, right there next to the gentleman in the orange, who is Booker. Both of those were two of Miss Lisa Ray's final bachelors. Booker, in the beginning, took off. He's an entrepreneur from DC. He took off. He won her heart. They bonded very well, but she found him to be very boring. And she was afraid that he would mimic her last, the guy she was in a relationship last. She said every time she wanted to do something fun, she had to plan it. She had to bring it up. She had to mention it. And Booker kind of scared her in that regard because she said she did not want to be the one in the relationship always planning the trips, planning the fun, and making sure they're always constantly on the go. David, on the other hand, was a engineer, I believe, an IT specialist, very solid in terms of his financial strength. Both of them were. He was about 10 years younger than her, and he was more fun, more relaxed, more vibrant. However, she always felt that he always had game, meaning he always knew what to say. His words were so smooth. So she didn't know if his communication with her was really from a genuine place. So those were the two people that Lisa Ray had in the final two. Booker was first in the home, so he had a lot of opportunity to kind of woo her, to kind of get her attention, to kind of demonstrate that he can be her king. And then David came into the house, identified Lisa Ray as his interest, and he really put the moves on her in terms of whining and dining her throughout the process. And during that process, you kind of saw that Booker kind of got an attitude. You kind of saw how he handled conflict because his whole energy in the show changed because he now had competition and he did not like the fact that Lisa Ray was spending more time with David. So, and here's the thing, and Lisa Ray really got into the details, and her family, the brat, was one of her family members that sat in, got into the details about who made the most money and would they be able to, for the example she gave, if she goes into a jewelry store and she sees a $10,000 piece of jewelry, what would he do? Would they be able to help her maintain her lifestyle, what she's accustomed to? And he gave a very funny answer. David gave a very funny answer. He would say he would rob the jewelry store to get the item. So he gave a very funny answer for Debrat's question, but it kind of gave you some insight to their financial stability. Really thought the guys, like I said, on season two were much more financially stable. You can kind of see it in their energy, their relaxed, their grooming, their presentation, that they really were more financially stable. And in that regard, I think K. Michelle, there was one guy called Ashwa who was Nigerian, half Nigerian, half white, from Connecticut, and he had one child. He was the nice guy. You know, he was the guy that we always overlook. I thought he would have been a different experience for K. Michelle because he was a nice guy, a handsome guy, but he was so quiet. And then she told him in the end that he was in the friend zone. You know, the nice guy that doesn't want to approach, who's probably always always had the time to have women come up to him because he's just so handsome, not really assertive. And K. Michelle told him that he was in the friend zone. I went back to, as I watched that, I say, why do we always pick the guys that we're attracted to, or I hate to use this word, the bad guys, the tough guys, rather than and I hate to use this definition, the safe guys. I don't want to say safe. Why don't we pick the solid guys? Because I knew from Connecticut, for K. Michelle, he was one of her earlier people. He was very well off, very established, but he could not get out of the friend zone. He never really communicated his interest in a solid way, and as a result, he was eliminated from the contest. So we see the ladies here; they're all dressed up. And what I do want to say as I go into London or Delish, I can't remember her last name. Her final two were Tracy and Zeus. And these guys were opposites. Zeus was a video production guy, very assertive, very vocal about how he felt about her. And then you had Tracy, who was very laid back, a military guy who we understand left the military once he found out his girlfriend had a child to come back and help raise his child. Real solid guy. His father came. I think he was the only one of all of the eligible bachelors that actually brought a relative to share with the ladies more about him. All of the other eligible bachelors brought friends, co-workers, frat brothers, but he was the only one that brought his actual parent. He brought his father, and I thought that was a huge plus. It's something that London overlooked. To me, that says solid, that says generational, that says relational. So when they bring their frat brother or some coworker or somebody they've known in the business for so many years, it kind of gives a red flag. And then again, maybe they were not local, but I thought for Tracy that was a big deal that he brought his father to meet London as a part of the introductions of the families. So London had London Delish had Zeus and Tracy. They were on opposite ends. Zeus was very aggressive. Clearly, he was attracted to her, and they had deep conversation. She felt like Tracy wasn't strong in his communication. He was too laid back. But I think Tracy, I call him the walking wounded. I think Tracy looks like a guy, the nice guy, the good guy, who was in a relationship and a woman probably disappointed him before, so much so that he could not communicate. And I also said, maybe because he's military, military people are very reserved sometimes in their personalities and very observant. But he, to me, seemed more solid. And once again, it goes back to the good guy who will be with you for the long term, who will be solid. And if you're in the industry, you probably need the opposite, someone who can see and observe and discern if you are in harm's way. So I think sometimes it's good to have somebody who's not in the industry. And that was one of the things that London's family said when they did the meetup with the family. They told her they thought Zeus was probably an opportunist on the show because he's a video production person and actor, and is making a move on her because he wants to get into acting. And they felt Tracy was the better fit. He seemed more trustworthy and more honest, even though Zeus had given her a tremendous gift. Because I did not know that London's niece was at college and was and they lost her, and Zeus gave her a gift in reminder of her niece. So it was a very thoughtful gift. But once again, the family said, even as I have said, that they didn't believe that Zeus was in it for the right reasons, that he was more of an opportunist. So as you see here, the ladies have on their different outfits, and they all had their different looks. But another thing I noticed in the show, Delish kind of evolved. Initially, her clothing was sheer, very risque attire. Sometimes I thought it was not appropriate, but I guess I don't know enough about her background. I did look and see that she was on some show, Flavor of Love. So, but I did notice as the show continued, her style began to evolve to more appropriate attire, more, I would say appropriate, meaning it showed more of, it allowed her personality to lead rather than her body. So I thought that was very nice to see her evolve. And I also said it probably, the influence of Lisa Ray and Kay Michelle probably had some influence in terms of how she was looking, or maybe she hired another makeup artist. But you can see in the show how London kind of evolves and matures right before our eyes in terms of her style, her look. Because by the end of the show, she had on a black turtleneck with big hoop earrings, and she really looked like she had evolved to a totally different person. Because some of her outfits I thought were so over the top, so revealing. I was uncomfortable when they were meeting with Holly Robinson and her husband Rodney Peete. They are the hosts, as you know, of the show. They have been married for over 20 years. And here is the lesson that I think that I go back to. Will this model ever work where the women are only picking men that they are attracted to? I think that is the biggest mistake. And as someone who's older now, and this is something I even tell my daughter, you can no longer go for the man you are attracted to. And I only know this because I'm older now and I'm divorced. But you have to go for the man that is solid, who's safe, who loves you more than you love him, who comes from a good place, a good family, who's well rounded, who's well traveled. I tell my daughter all the time, if he doesn't have a passport, then he's not ready to date you. You have to have somebody who's at your level. Because even when Lisa Ray was talking to David, and David is the robotic engineer, she asked him all kind of details about his home, Is it two-story? What the layout? What is the neighborhood? Is it a home? Is it a condo? She really wanted to visualize how this man lived. And I think that's appropriate because one, we know Lisa Ray used to be married to a football player, a Dolphin player. She then was first lady, so she has a certain lifestyle. And this is one of the reasons why I say this model won't work, in my opinion. Queen's Court. Why? These women are millionaires. The eligible bachelors are actually millionaires. And I'm not saying that these guys are not or not on their way. Like I said, many of these guys are solid. You can tell they did an excellent job really leveling up the bachelors. But these are millionaires. These women are millionaires. So the bachelors have to be millionaires as well in order for them to be considered attractive. So let's consider for a minute. Remember, we had in season one, Evelyn Lozano left with the guy at the end. They started to date. I think she lived in California and he lived in Atlanta, I believe. And they were talking about, cross country dating. I knew Evelyn would not stay with that man. Why? Evelyn Lozado has only dated, well, in the latter part of her life, only dated multimillionaires. Someone with a regular job will not meet her standard. And I hate to say it because she's accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So, in order for Queen's Court to work, they really have to identify eligible bachelors who are at the same financial level as the women. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's a false narrative to believe they're going to just embrace someone who's not on their level financially. Now, in season one, we did see Tamar and JR ended up getting married. They were married for about a month, according to reports. But that's because JR was someone who had a higher income level. But that's not the case. But they did better this season. But once again, if Lisa Ray was the first lady and K Michelle is a successful artist, and I'm not sure about how successful Miss London has been around, then they have certain expectations. So that is one of the reasons why Queen's Court, the model doesn't work. And as the chairwoman, and we're in the boardroom, we always think about the model and the formula. Does it add up? And the other reason why it won't, I say, because they always pick the guy that they're attracted to rather than the guy that will what? Be solid, who will be